Good morning, everybody. How are you guys doing? Happy Friday. I apologize. I wasn't able to come on yesterday for my weekly Thursday live stream. That's why I postponed it to Friday because of personal reasons. And I had a lot of you reach out and ask if everything is okay. And I just wanted to let you guys know that everything is okay. Nothing bad happened. So what happened yesterday is that later on in the afternoon, Environment Canada actually came out with a tornado warning in our area. So it got really, really dark, and the wind picked up, and all of it at around 5 o'clock. And so my girls were getting a little nervous, and they just wanted me to be available in there for them downstairs as we were heading into the evening. And that is why I decided to not go on live yesterday and do it instead this morning to talk about probiotics and prebiotics. Um, that just reminds me that I forgot to put the banner in. So this is about prebiotics and probiotics today. So, but luckily we didn't get hit. However, a town north of us, I would say probably 100 miles north of us, got hit really bad by that tornado. It's quite incredible the extent of damage that happened in the city up north. Roofs where came down, trees down, all of it. So it was quite devastating, and it's quite amazing to see that happening in Canada. Actually, I haven't seen a tornado in my almost 18 years I've been living here in Canada. So that is something. So I do pray for these people up north and hope that they will recover from the damage soon. Regardless, we're here today to talk about prebiotics and probiotics. So let's talk about prebiotics and probiotics. The other day, I asked you guys how many supplementations you're taking, and one of the supplementations that a lot of you guys and a lot of people, generally speaking, are taking are probiotics, which is really good thing because I mean there is a certain um, there's a certain health benefit to taking probiotics in supplementation form, but there's also some risks, and I'm going to be talking about that in a minute. So, what's the difference between prebiotics and probiotics? If you catch this video as later on, not live in a replay, hashtag replay, let me know in the comments with hashtag replay that you're catching this later on. And let me know, anybody who is on, do you know exactly what the difference is between prebiotics and probiotics and why it's important to understand? Give me a hands up or let me know in the comments when you're catching this in the replays. So prebiotics and probiotics, what is it? Well, there's one center in your body where those pre and probiotics are actually, causing benefits or having a direct result, beneficial result in, and that is your gut. It's your gut bacteria. Our gut consists of trillions and trillions of bacteria, good or bad. So they're labeled good and bad. However, the bad ones are necessary in order to keep the good ones in balance and vice versa. So there's always that healthy balance of good and bad bacteria or beneficial and pathogenic bacteria in your gut residing that also communicate with one another and keep each other in check. The issue, becomes very obvious when when the pathogenic bacteria are overgrowing or taking up too much residency in your gut and thereby pushing out the good bacteria, the good strains. And then you're starting to show imbalances in your body, which can result in inflammation and symptoms that you're experiencing. This is a lot of what we're dealing with in autoimmune disease, to various reasons. So our gut microbiome is almost always, I would say always, affected when we are dealing with chronic inflammation. And that is why I always center my work around the gut first. because it makes such a huge difference in our immune system. So now know that you have those bacteria and in your gut, and they are really functioning on their own. So they're living organisms that metabolize and that spew out certain um, components. Some of them are super beneficial, like some of them, as they metabolize, they create fatty acids that are super anti-inflammatory for us. But at the same time, other pathogenic bacteria, when they are metabolizing our food or what we're giving them to eat, they are, their waste product is a little bit more inflammatory. It's sort of like a toxin that are being spewed out into our system, and that can cause inflammation. And all of these bacteria in your gut, they have different functions. So it's not just that all of those bacteria all do the same thing in helping us reducing inflammation by creating fatty acids. They all have different duties and tasks in our system. Some of them are helping us with our metabolism, some of us helping us so some of them helping us with developing immunity, some of them are helping us with our nervous system, and some of them have the benefits of them helping or creating anti-inflammatory compounds that are bringing down our inflammation in our system. And that is just a few. So, I mean, there's ongoing studies, so much out there, and there's just so many different types of bacteria and strains in our system that we're just really at the beginning stage of understanding how they impact our gut and our health. But what we do understand is that they have a massive impact on our gut and our health in general. So that is why probiotics have been marketed to such an extent, because we know the value of the probiotics. Probiotics meaning basically strains of bacteria in powder form that are, not active, but then inside your system, when you swallow them and they get inside your body, they're starting to become active, and then they're doing their work. Now, here's the thing with probiotics is the thing with probiotics, and there's a little bit of a misunderstanding, is that some people believe that you're taking the probiotics and you're renourishing your gut by taking those probiotics, and those probiotics are actually taking residency in your gut, which meaning is that you're taking the probiotics and thereby you're increasing the level of good bacteria in your gut. That is not the case. So what happens is when you're taking a probiotic supplement is that you are introducing the gut bacteria into your system with that pill. And as they are traveling through, they're transient. As they're traveling through your system, your GI tract, they are doing their thing. So they are delivering beneficial, let's say, side effects to your system. So those bacteria are communicating with your own gut bacteria. They are metabolizing. They're helping maybe with your metabolism. They're helping creating anti-inflammatory properties for you. And when they're done with their work, they are actually leaving your body through stool. So those bacteria are never taking residency in your gut. They are just doing their work as they're moving through your system. That is number one. So just keep that in mind and know that that is the case. Now, with the probiotic foods, it's a little bit of a different story. So the probiotic foods also do the same thing. You have those bacteria that you're introducing into your system, and with the fermented foods, and they do the same thing like the supplementation. However, typically, the fermented foods also include prebiotic foods. And I'm going to go into the prebiotics in a minute. But the fermented foods, research shows that the bacteria is still not taking residency in your gut, but because of the combination with the prebiotic foods and the probiotic foods, you actually in fermented foods, you actually increase the likelihood of you nourishing certain strains that are already in your system to become for them to help regenerate and regrow and continue to flourish. So to basically increase the volume of these type of bacteria if you're taking fermented foods that include probiotics and prebiotics. So the difference here is that the probiotic supplementation is just passing through, doing its thing. It's not nourishing right now your existing gut bacteria. The probiotic foods are actually doing the same thing as well as they're going through, but they're also helping your body to increase its own gut microbiome through that food. Now let's get a little bit into prebiotics. So prebiotics, what does that mean? Prebiotic food means, or prebiotic means that the food that you're ingesting, the prebiotic food or supplementation that you're ingesting is food that is nourishing and supporting your current microbiome that you have in your body for those gut bacteria to proliferate in your system. You are basically feeding the strains that you're already having in your system with food that is keeping them happy and healthy so that they can multiply, so that they can do their job really, really well. And if they multiply, and if you are feeding strains with certain foods, those strains can actually, change and morph into a broader variety of different strains depending on what you feed them to do certain tasks in your body. So you're increasing the diversity of your gut bacteria by increasing prebiotic foods in your diet, which means that once those good bacteria proliferate and even diversify through your diet, they are starting to push out the pathogenic bacteria that might be overgrowing and causing you symptoms and dysbiosis in your gut. So that is why it's super important to understand that probiotics are great, right? But prebiotics are at least as important to incorporate into your daily diet than probiotics, because of that fact that it actually can cause or help your microbiota in your gut to grow, diversify, and get stronger. So I hope that makes sense. That is the difference between prebiotics and probiotics. And again, I want to say that you can get both forms, both the prebiotics and the probiotics in form of supplementation, which is great. However, understand that also just randomly choosing a probiotic because probiotics are helpful and great is maybe not the best way to approach it. So, and understand that your microbiota is so rich in different types of bacteria and different strains, and they all do a different task and have a different duty in your system. Just think of the few strains that we are actually, even if it's 50 billion, right, that you're having in your 10 billion in your probiotic supplementation. That is just a drop in the bucket of the whole thing. And know that each strain is very, very specific in what they're actually doing, what they're supporting in your gut. So just randomly choosing a probiotic, without understanding what the strains are actually doing in your system might not even help you, because you might be actually needing probiotics that are producing more anti-inflammatory properties versus strains that are helping you in, digesting your fiber, or in your or sparking your metabolism or your nervous system, whatever it is. So it's always a good idea to have that conversation with your healthcare practitioner to find out which strains are actually benefiting you. Because sometimes I see that people just randomly choose a probiotic and then they get even more bloating and then they get even more symptoms and they don't know and they don't understand why. They say, why is this? Because I'm taking the probiotic, I'm doing the right thing. Well, you might not be taking the right type of probiotic for your body. So I would always recommend to speak with your healthcare practitioner in order to make sure that you are choosing the right type of supplementation. Um, the nice thing is that with probiotic foods, fermented foods, you are introducing so many different types of bacteria into your system just because of the fermentation and the food in itself that work in symbiosis with other bacteria in your gut is that you know you are actually nourishing the broader aspect of your gut microbiome with those foods because your gut microbiome is choosing the or is using the food that you are taking for its own benefit and you're not specifically choosing strains in a vast amount, but you're introducing a whole diversity of different strains and your body uses it as it needs it. So that is why I always like the food because you are consistently nourishing on a regular basis to support your gut that way. And the same thing goes for prebiotics. So prebiotics food are just an amazing food. The issue is with prebiotic foods that a lot of people are reacting to prebiotic foods, right? And that is again a symptom of dysbiosis. That's a result of your microbiome being out of balance to begin with. And so that is why you're reacting to those prebiotic foods. And then you're excluding those which can be really dramatic for your microbiome because if you're not nourishing and feeding your existing microbiome with those prebiotic foods, then you're kind of like starting to starve those good strains and allowing room for pathogenic bacteria to proliferate and grow and push the good ones out. So it's always a good idea to if you're reacting to prebiotic foods, to really work on your gut health and slowly introduce those prebiotic foods in order for you to nourish your microbiome. And so that's the one thing you can do in order to support your immunity that way. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. So that was the difference between prebiotic and probiotics, what you can do in terms of choosing supplementation or food. I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if it was. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'm actually heading to the lake now with my daughter, and I will see you again next week. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.